So what do you call yourself? Welcome to the LaTangela Show. Hey.
Hey, what can I do for you this fine day?
This is your destiny. Hot, hot, hot. Right now.
Welcome to the LaTangela Show.
Kick it.
Come on in and enjoy yourself.
Right now.
We gon' party like no one else. Welcome to the LaTangela Show.
Max 94.1, Baton Rouge's official #1 for hip-hop and R&B. It's your girl LaTangela, the voice inside your speaker box. And you know it's important to let your voice be heard. That's why I keep this volume all the way up. And why I'm always saying, hey man, it's me. Don't touch that dial. Well, today I have, he's no stranger to the community. He is pretty much an employee of the station because whenever I call, he's there. And I was like, Ted James. I have questions that need answers. He has been an elected official for so many years and wears so many different hats and has been so responsible with his platforms. He is a son of Baton Rouge. And, you know, whenever I have to lean on a voice that I can trust to get the answers, especially when so much is on the line, it's important that I get you in here. And thank you for taking time out of your schedule to do that.
Tangie, thank you. You have always been helpful in my role, the many roles that I've had in this community to get the information into the community that we both love. We're both children of Baton Rouge, so it's always important that we get information, and I do appreciate you always using your platform to get this vital information out to our community.
Well, thank you. Teamwork is going to make the dream work, right? And you know, we have so much on the line right now. Early voting is taking place until October 7th. But before we even get to early voting, let's talk about what's on this ballot. Do you feel as if as a community, we even spend enough time normalizing that conversation to know what's on the ballot, who's on the ballot, who's standing for what we believe in? Do we even really know what we believe in?
You know, I always say that in our community now, especially with our demographic, you cannot solely say, hey, people died, people marched, so get out and vote. Of course, those things are true. But we are at a point where politics is so, divisive now. We have it on our phones. It's 24-hour news cycle. We need to tell folks not just to vote, but who is representing us, what the issues are, and even with the constitutional amendments. For me, I'm a lawyer. I served in the legislature for 10 years, and the amendments are confusing to me.
Okay.
So I could recognize how confusing these things are for the general public.
Absolutely. And when you start talking about the amendments, we have several that are actually on this ballot. Let's take time just to talk about it. We're not here to say how to vote. We're just saying to educate yourselves and to fulfill the responsibility to vote. And these are some of the things that we're voting on. So if we were looking at one of the amendments, break that down for me.
So I'll tell you, and let me just say this first. The process of getting an amendment on the ballot, it does not mean that the legislators support it. This is the fact of the matter is legislators support you, the public, having the opportunity to make the decision. So just because an amendment appears on a ballot, that does not mean that the person that you elected supports the issue. I think that the top two are very important. The first one deals with spending for elections. So during the 2020 election, we had a lot of non-governmental entities, let's just say the Urban League, the NAACP, send money to different locations to help with voting. So we needed money to buy PPP. Right, you needed cleaning things, right? We bought water for people, and there were a lot of folks that didn't think that was a proper use of money. Now, these were not government dollars; these are non-governmental dollars going to a governmental agency. Some people saw this as a way for us to expand voting, and this, in my opinion, is to say we don't need outside money coming to help conduct elections. This is not to sway an election, but if a registrar voter needed extra dollars to space out more, to get PPP, right? If you needed to buy extra tables and chairs, this is only to help facilitate. So a vote yes would stop outside dollars from coming in to support elections. A vote no will give the registrar voters in every parish the opportunity to accept those dollars to fund election activities.
And that's one of the amendments that we're facing right now. Early election until 10/7 and election day on October 14th.
That's right. It's amendment number 1.
Amendment number 1. Okay, great. Well, I'm glad you broke that down for us. I have more questions that need more answers. Is it okay if I hold you here a little while longer?
I'm here as long as you need me.
Say less. You keep it locked right where you have it. It's Max 94.1. Max 94.1, Baton Rouge's official number 1 for hip hop and R&B. It's your girl LaTangela, and we're back like we never left. I've got questions that need answers. Early voting, it's in full effect. Have you casted your vote as of yet? Are you familiar with the ballot? Are you familiar with any other candidates, their platforms, some of these promises? Because, promises made, promises kept. I'm a stickler on that, right? I want to know you more so than just your yard sign, but then it gets tricky. We got these things called amendments.
That's right.
They made their way to the ballot, and they need us to let our voices be heard on that. So today in the hot seat and on the tan line, we have our very own Edward Ted James. And the fact that you just broke down Amendment 1 for us so well, I know that there's a second amendment that has made its way to this ballot. And I want you to break it down for us just a tad.
Yeah, so number 2 provides for protection of places of worship. Now, this can get very sticky, so I'm going to just put it to you all very plainly. The free exercise of religion is already in the Constitution, right? This amendment came from the COVID emergency declaration that Governor Edwards signed that basically closed churches. Okay. Now, there were those out there that felt churches should have been open, right? It is my opinion that closing down churches saved lives, especially in our community, right? That's just my opinion. But this amendment basically says that any restriction on places of worship is subject to strict scrutiny. That is the highest level of scrutiny in the law. So basically, if there's a challenge, judges have to maintain the highest level of scrutiny. So in layman's terms, if we had another shutdown and the next governor decides to shut down churches, if it goes to a lawsuit, I believe that lawsuit would fail and that governor would lose and that churches will be open. So basically, this says that in emergency situations, we cannot close churches. So churches should be open for any and every day, all reasons, and never be shut down.
If it's for safety precautions like COVID.
Even if it's for COVID. For real, we know everybody that personally knows me, my COVID story. Yeah. We know that the high number of deaths in our community. And if this passes, let's just say we go through 2020 again. It is my opinion that if this passes, churches will not be on the list of places that will be shut down to protect us.
Okay, and that is Amendment 2 on the ballot for the early election ending 10/7 and early voting ending October 14th. Election day, election day. So it's important that we have these conversations and that we're asking questions, getting the answers. And before you go, I have at least 1 or 2 more questions. Can I get to some music and get right back to you?
Please do.
All right. If you have any questions, listen, the tan line is open 499-9410 or 1-888-499-9410. Not telling you how to vote, just making sure that you're educating yourself on what is on the ballot. And look, this is peer pressure. Get out and vote. Let your voices be heard. Do the responsible thing and make it happen. You keep it locked right where you have it. It's Max 94.1. Max 94.1, Baton Rouge's official number 1 for hip hop and R&B. It's your girl LaTangela, maxing in the midday with you. And today in the hot seat on the tan line, I got our very own Edward Ted James. Now listen, he is always in a hot seat because I'm calling him Ted. I got questions. Hopefully you got some answers. Because if I had to lean on my own understanding with 98% of this stuff, I'd be calling him for other reasons,
That's right.
So I call him on the front end of half a life. So here we are, elections, full stride. Now, early voting ends October 7th. So you still have time to get out, let your voices be heard. And keep in mind that on the 14th, the actual voting day, we got 2 big situations. We got homecoming for the Southern University, where everybody will be tailgating, everybody will be traveling, everybody will be on the yard. So let's not even play with ourselves saying, I'll do it before I go to the game. Because that's not how it's going to happen. And we know better, right? LSU, they have a massive situation taking place right here on the 14th. So let's not even say, I'll go vote before. No, you won't. I'll go vote after. No, you won't. So if you plan to be on the yard Or if you plan to go to the ballot, make sure that you plan to vote early so you can at least cast your vote and be a part of the conversation that's moving us in the right direction.
That's right.
We have a lot that's on the ballot, from amendments to 2 open seats for judge. Okay, let's talk about it. We're talking about family court and district court. I just want you to tell us a little bit about what is on the docket for family court.
Sure. So family court, of course, divorces, custody issues, domestic violence cases, protective orders, all of those things that are domestic related issues. Now, of course, some of these domestic related issues can either go to the family court or the district court. So district court handles criminal matters, and this judge will likely receive a criminal docket. In Baton Rouge, the new judges always assume a criminal docket. So any of those arrests from East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff, so high crimes, felonies, misdemeanors, the judges will be the one in that black robe overseeing all of those different issues. 2 very, very important seats in our community. Trudy White, who is a longtime judge, who's also a graduate of McKinley. I always got a shout out McKinley.
That's right.
She was the first African-American female elected judge in his parish. A graduate of McKinley High School, where we have always done a lot to educate those leaders in our community. But Tangi, you talked about early voting, and I want to leave you all with this. The first day of early voting, we had 21,000 black people vote. Mm-hmm. Out of that 21,000, only 90, that's a 9 and a 0, were between the ages of 18 and 20.
What?
Right? So 21,000 black votes.
Okay.
90, and this was the first day of early voting, only 90 were between the ages of 18 to 20, right? So that tells me our young people, I know you may feel that some of the candidates are not speaking to you. I know you may not feel personally connected. I hear from young people all of the time, but let me tell you, the issues that these folks are going to be overseeing are very much important to you, especially these judges. Right. So as we look at the number of young people that are in our criminal legal system, we look at the number of young people that have issues that come up with custody and child support and divorce. It is very important that we have a say in who represents us and on these very important seats, especially in our judiciary.
And let's be clear, kids want to grow up so fast. Well, now's the time for you to do the adult thing.
That's right.
There's
nothing more responsible than voting.
Absolutely. And I was reading an article earlier this week saying how the numbers were so low because people don't really have, I guess you could say, the enthusiasm to go out and vote. I was like, so what? We need a rah-rah party?
That's right.
Like, come on now. You'll be very enthusiastic if something goes wrong when that gavel comes down and you feel as if you weren't represented or someone did not relate to you or did not listen to you or care about what was going on. So now is the time for you to decide your future, your family's outcome.
If you're a young person and you're arrested for a simple misdemeanor, that judge is the one that can say, okay, I'm going to set a bond at $100,000 that you can't afford and that you'll be sitting in jail, or a bond at $2,500 that is more that's more relatable to a minor offense. That's the type of power that a judge yields. If a DA puts together a proposal or asks for some sentence that a judge feels is not comparable to that offense, a judge can say, no, that's not the sentence that I deem appropriate. Even if a judge, if a jury comes back with a verdict, a judge can step in, and Judge Trudy White was one that would do this. She yielded her power in the right way. A judge can come in and issue a judgment notwithstanding the verdict. That is the power that black robe yields. So it's very important that we elect someone that knows our community, that feels the things that we feel and can judge with a sense of compassion.
Absolutely. And Ted, I can't say thank you enough for coming in and lending us, even your heart in a moment such as this, because it is important, and we all have a dog to hunt in this fight, like the old folks say, because so much is really just dwindling on our decisions. And if we don't get to the polls, we're deciding against whatever it is that we desire.
There's a quote that says, bad people are elected every day by good people that don't vote.
I like that. That's real. That's right. And we'll leave you with that. So what is that?
Bad people are elected every day by good people who don't vote.
So get out and vote. End of story. True story with Max 94.1.